Boy, you on the pit was just heartbreaking. What a great performance that was.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a real honor to tell that story. It's been very like one of the best parts, if not the best part about it, has just been in the aftermath, running into people on the street who were really moved by it for their own personal reasons, and it's just been so nice connecting with everyone in that way.
And congratulations on the Yeti. It is a, kind of a wonderful step back in time to great monster movies and that it was filmed on, I was blown away to find out it was filmed on a soundstage and you did such a marvelous job in this too.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a pretty unique experience to shoot on a stage entirely, a film that was, set outside in the Arctic wilderness. Um, but you know, Frank Coppola, who did the production design on the film, like he just blew it out of the water. It was amazing. Like the what he did with the limited resources that he had, he was so creative, and he had an amazing group of artists that were all based in Buffalo, and they would just build they acquired tons of great pieces that were, just vintage finds to fill the cabin, etc. But then, he had a leather maker who was just extremely skilled and made my map case, and just the attention to detail, and the yeah, like the trees that felt real, looked and felt real, that you could walk through this little forest, but then they were, I can't remember what they were made out of, but they were just extremely lightweight. He'd done a lot with very little.
And on a budget,
Yeah.
to put this in 1947, just just a remarkable team of people surrounding this film.
Seriously, that was probably the strongest aspect of that production, was that the directors had assembled just a great group of people, and from the cast to especially the crew. Joel Froome, who was the cinematographer, just did such a beautiful job, and yeah, it was this really great group of people on the ground in Buffalo. It was really fun to get to know that film scene there.
Yeah, and Corbin Benson, in
Oh
it,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
what
and
a great guy he is.
William Sadler was particularly lovely to work with, just a very giving, open human and actor, and that was, an honor to act opposite him.
Yeah, and to be in an old school type, horror film, a monster movie, has got to be a joy. I mean, I'm such a fan of things like Dracula and Frankenstein, and those were all done in the same way. They're shot on sound stages, and
Yeah,
they fool you with the camera work.
definitely. Yeah. And I think that the team that built our Yeti, I mean, it was awesome. It standing a lot of times when you're doing horror movies, a lot of the work is done in post.
Yeah.
And on this one, it was there, so you could really, and it was this, I don't know how tall it was, maybe 8 feet or taller. And there was this guy who was walking on stilts with it, and just the details, the fur, the face,
Yeah.
the scaly skin. There were just a lot of great artists who contributed to
Well,
it.
there's a difference, I think, in acting to a tennis ball and then acting to something that's absolutely, in
Yeah.
front of you too. And the
Yeah.
lack of CGI makes this film very important.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's one of the things that interested me about jumping on board.
Why didn't you do the score for this?
I think that's a good question. I don't know. Ask the dudes.
Yeah. Well, I
But
did, and
yeah.
they shut me down like you wouldn't believe. No, because you're such a great musician too.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I'm just preparing. I'm gonna my last well, the last thing that I scored was Coyotes.
Yeah.
That was the movie that I made with my partner Colin, and stars Justin Long, and that's got a great score. And for whatever reason, I can't release most of it, but I'll be putting out the main title theme very soon on that front. And then Abraham's Boys is another film that I
Yeah.
scored last year, and there's a Blu-ray of that coming out in about a month's time. So we're going to time a release of the score for that one because that was a really special score to do.
Abraham's Boys is an amazingly dark film as
Yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah.
and man, the score did that. In fact, I talked to the director and said the score is beautiful for this.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I loved doing that score. I really kind of have I write my own music and I'm a trained singer. That's kind of where most of my musical training has been. And I've started to bring my voice a lot more into the scores. And particularly with Abraham's Boys, I contributed the vocals and we recorded violin and it was a lot of bringing more live instruments to it. So yeah, I think it's unique for that reason,
Mm.
for what I do.
What do you think audiences will take away with them from watching the Yeti?
I I mean, I'll be very curious to see what they take away. It was kind of one of these things where it was like, oh, this is a really fun, unique experiment that we're engaging in right now. And what one of the things that drew me to it was the drama that the characters experience and the chance to, really settle into some, a deep emotional storyline in the midst of this Yeti film. So but then there is a Yeti and there's guts and there's gore and there's blood and it's hyper stylized because of the way it was shot too. So I think as with anything that takes a big swing like that, it will land with some and maybe not with others. But I think it's a really unique take, and for that reason, I hope people appreciate it.
It's an anti-AI popcorn muncher.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
As I leave you, I have just a strange question.
yeah,
As a musician, as somebody that, thinks in music,
yeah.
when you take on a role, do you hear rhythms and cadences in the characters you take on?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do generally become quite musical when I'm working on something. It's not necessarily that I'm like in order to get into a character, I'm actually usually listening to, music that's already been produced. I will usually kind of be off to the side with my earphones, just kind of like, settling into the what the character's going through music that I've acquired. But then at the same time, just because I'm like opening up a channel
Hmm.
into something in whatever world we're building, I do find that like I'll be coming up with tons of other melodies, and I'll constantly, when I'm on set, I'm coming up with song ideas that might be kind of for a different project, but I think it's informed by whatever I'm bringing up in that moment. And I do remember on the Yeti, yeah, a couple of times I was recording these voice memos, different, the feeling of the tension kind of like uh underneath this like quiet drama of the Yeti approaching.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it all just kind of like informs the other. And I usually find when I'm scoring something, I'm deep in it and I'm coming up with tons of musical ideas and then usually by the end of, finishing a feature score when you've delivered all the stems and it's, you've been in your studio by yourself for like months, you're like, okay, get me back on a set. I want to act again, I'm so fortunate that I'm able to jump between the two because they really feed different parts of my expression.
And as I say goodbye, I mean, the Yeti's voice was done by a rock and roller. And I'm
Oh,
curious to know
cool.
who it was. Was it Jess Harnell, the voice actor?
To be honest, I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't I haven't seen the finished film yet. So yeah, I'm very curious to
Because he's a rock and roller. And
yeah.
I'm so glad to have met you. And
Same. Thank you
oh
so
my
much.
gosh, I'm verklempt. What can I say?
Oh, well, I really appreciate talking to you as well.
Oh, Brittany, thank you so much. And I'll tag you on social media sometime and we'll do a longer interview.
Okay, I'd love that.
All right,
Yeah.
you take care. Have a great
Okay.
day and stay well. And
Thank
thank
you.
you for the pit. Again, it was such a deep performance.
My pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye.